Well, good evening, church. It's great to see you. Can't wait to worship with you soon in person. And we just wanted to, as we're thinking about worshiping again together on campus, we wanted to give you a quick update, our pastoral team, on kind of what we're thinking and how that day might look, what you can expect when you show up to campus on June 7th. So Rick, just to go ahead and get started, Rick, you're going to tell us about building access and seating. So what can we expect when we show up on campus as far as accessing the building and being seated in the building?
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. And we want to say also, I want to offer a caveat here that this is Wednesday. And so we don't know what the city announcements may be on Friday of each week, which is traditionally when they come out. As we're preparing for what we're doing, we're preparing to be open on June 7th. Now, about building access and seating, we plan to worship in two primary spaces. The worship center, or as many say, the sanctuary, will be set aside for middle and senior adults and those who are immune compromised. And so for those individuals, please come to the 18th Street entrance and come in the front door, and then there will be greeters there who will guide you, and you'll know where to sit depending on where you want to sit, in the middle section or in the sections on the left or right side next to the windows. For those who will go to the fellowship hall, which will be families with younger children, there will be an entrance at the awning on at the back parking lot, the red awning that all of you are familiar with. There'll be a health station there. Go in that way. The fellowship hall will be set up so that social distancing will work. And then at the conclusion of worship, exit out and go out through the center hallway and back into the parking lot at the metal awning. So you'll come in one door, out another door. Donnie will talk a little bit more about the flow of foot traffic in just a moment.
Yeah, so when you come in the building, where do I go? How do I come in the building? What does it look like to come in and leave, entrance, exit, those kind of questions. Donnie, what can we expect as far as the flow of foot traffic on June 7th?
Yeah, when you come onto the campus, of course, most people park in the rear parking lot, which is adjacent to the University Place School. So just remember, if you're going to worship in the fellowship hall, that's probably the best place to park, and then just come in that door that has the red awning in it, or what we call the kitchen entrance, basically. If you're going to worship in the worship center or the sanctuary or the auditorium, a better place to park might be the parking lot between Nehemiah's and the worship center, or on the west side of the building over in that area. And just come up the steps or up the ramp and into the 18th Street entrance and into the building. That's how you get in.
So one of the big questions, one of the key words we've heard throughout this whole experience with COVID-19 is social distancing. So one question that we want to make sure we address is, what's the seating arrangement? How are we going to maintain 6 feet in the worship center or the fellowship hall or wherever we might gather on Sunday, June 7th? So seating, distancing, how is that going to look, Rick?
When you come into for example, into the worship center, the pews will be marked off so that individuals or families will be able to be seated on every other pew. Family groups will be able to be seated together. Individuals are requested to be seated 6 feet apart. Now, what that boils down to in terms of how that will look in our worship center is that on the rows of pews that are adjacent to the windows on the left and the right side of the sanctuary, as you, depending on where you look at it or how you look at it, there will be 3 people on those pews, every other pew. That allows, those pews are basically about 18 feet, so that allows individuals to be 6 feet apart. The middle pews will seat 4 people. And so, or family groups can be seated in the middle and there'll be more individuals, perhaps 3 to 5 together in a family, but it will be marked for every other pew, and it'll be fairly obvious. We'll have it marked in such a way so that everyone can know what pews are available for seating. In the fellowship hall will be set up to accommodate families with young children. And so there'll be some seating with tables that are available. And then there will be chairs that will be available for individuals. And so again, we'll ask our congregation to honor the social distancing guidelines as they are seated in the fellowship hall. It'll all fit together. When you get here, you'll see how it works. It will be fine. It's going to be different. We've all said it just feels really strange, but it's going to work. It'll be fine.
So one of the things we want to make sure we do is take every precaution medically in terms of keeping everyone safe and making sure that people who come in the building run through a kind of screening. So talk to us about individual health checks. Donnie, what might that look like? And check temperature, questions. What can we expect as far as before I walk into the building? And what's going to happen from a medical standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have 3 different medical checkpoints. So one will be in the back by the red awning. A couple will be as you enter into the worship center from the 18th Street entrance. And we'll have some touchless digital thermometers there. We'll take your temperature. It takes 1 second to measure your temperature, and then you'll have some questions that you can look at and respond if you have any of the symptoms that connected with the COVID-19 virus. And if not, or been exposed to that in some way, we'll welcome you onto the worship experience, and it'll just be painless. I mean, if you've had some symptoms, we'd ask you not to come to worship, of course, and get some medical help if you need it. But we're here to make sure that all of our people are safe when they worship, and just come a few minutes early to make sure that you can get through that process and then get on into the worship experience.
Yeah, good. So a follow-up to health checks is hand sanitation, masks. So tell us, Rick, what can we expect as we think about hygiene and masks on June 7th?
Well, thank you. We will have hand sanitizer available. The doors will be propped open so that it's not necessary for anyone to touch a door. One of the options we've considered is that if the weather or something is such that we need to close the doors, to have tissue available so that someone pick up a tissue, grip a door handle that way, throw the tissue in a wastebasket. So we're making preparation with several different strategies in mind to assure that good sanitation is maintained as our church family enters and exits the building. There will be hand sanitizer available inside. We encourage everyone to use it. We know that a lot of individuals have become accustomed to carrying a small bottle of hand sanitizer with them. And if you'd rather use your own, that's great. We don't mind. We're not offended if you don't use ours. In regard to masks, now we have had a lot of debate about masks. And we've talked about how the information seems to change almost daily sometimes. And in fact, we've had conversations here in the morning at the church offices, and then the information changed again by the afternoon based on what we were reading or hearing on the media. And so the consensus of opinion that has arisen in recent weeks is that a mask is primarily helpful to prevent an infected individual from spreading germs to another person. The mask is not as effective for the person wearing that. In other words, it will not, just like wearing clothes will not keep you from getting wet if it's raining, wearing a mask is not necessarily going to keep you from catching a germ if it's in the air. It does work better from the standpoint of the person that's sick. So here's where we are on that. Masks are going to be strongly encouraged. They're not going to be required. Please recall that we're going to do a health check as someone enters the building. We're going to ask them the 5 questions. Have you been exposed to COVID-19? Have you had a fever in the last 48 hours? Have you had any type of stomach distress or anything like that that would indicate sickness? Have you lost your sense of smell or had a change there? There are several questions that we will ask, and just as you come in. And so, somewhere we trust God in this, that everyone will be healthy, and we expect everyone to be responsible. Let me say at this point that if you have any reservation about coming to worship, stay home, listen from home. Check with your doctor if you need to. We're going to do our best to maintain sanitation. We know that our members will, and so we're just going to pray for a great outcome.
we want to wrap up by thinking about and addressing any questions you might have about how giving will look on June 7. I think I speak for Donnie and Rick when I say that we've been so encouraged by how you've been faithful to give, even when it might not be what's familiar or might not have been the most convenient. But we've been so encouraged by how you've stepped up to the plate, so to speak, and given to what the Lord's been up to at Forest Lake, even though we can't be together corporately. So as we think about what giving might look like on June 7, Donnie, what can we expect as far as whether it be plate passing? How do I bring my check or my gift? What would that look like?
Yeah, one of the great things that grieves us during this period is that we can't hug necks and we can't shake hands and those kinds of things. And so we don't want to hand you a piece of paper that might communicate an illness, and we certainly don't want to hand you an offering plate. So we'll have some places available for you to deposit your offering while you're here. And of course, we encourage you to give online if at all possible, because that just bypasses all of those issues and helps ensure that your gifts come to us very, very quickly. And so I'll echo what Patrick said. We're so grateful for the fact that you've been faithful to give. We were looking at some numbers a little bit earlier today. We're at about 75% of budget right now, which might scare some people when you hear that, but we already know that we're not spending very much at all. And so that really encourages us that our people have been faithful to give during this difficult time.
Amen. Well, church, if we didn't answer a question or you still have something that you're not quite clear on, don't hesitate to give us a call, shoot us an email, and go ahead and leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube if you want to have some kind of interaction about something that was said. But we're excited about June 7th. We love you, and we hope to see you soon. Even if we can't shake hands or hug necks, we want to worship the Lord with you together. So come join us on June 7th, and we're excited to see you. We love you. God bless.